in your Christian life. Nehemiah's spirit. Prophet Nehemiah is one of the great models in following God's mandate. Nehemiah was the most trusted, influential person to the king during his time. One time the king noticed Nehemiah's face was full of loneliness. The countenance of Nehemiah was full of sadness. He was depressed. As a matter of fact, he could hardly sleep for many days and weeks. He was crying to the Lord and prayed to the Lord. And the king noticed it. Nehemiah at the time was the cupbearer to the king. Before the king drank or ate, at the time, Nehemiah was the cupbearer. He was the first one to taste the drink for the king, or to taste the food for the king. And during that time, poisoning kings were so prevalent. That's why Nehemiah was so influential and so trusted by the king. If the king would be poisoned, Nehemiah will first be the one to be poisoned and die. And one time, the king said, Nehemiah, what happened to you? What happened to you, Nehemiah? You are healthy. You're eating good food in the palace. You're living in great comfort with me. Paraphrasing, why your countenance is full of sadness and loneliness, and you are healthy? And Nehemiah answered, paraphrasing, beloved king, how can I enjoy the comfort of your palace? How can I enjoy the delicious food in your palace? When I heard that my beloved country is so shattered, the walls of Jerusalem are broken, the gates are burned down, and my people are living 24 hours a day in danger zone, no security whatsoever, being insulted day and night, how can I enjoy the comfort of your palace? To cut the story short, the king gave him the permission to have leave of absence indefinitely. Go back to your country. Go back to your nation. And I am giving you 2 letters of authority. One, you can pass through the curfew without being stopped by any police or military agency. And the other letter, you can get any amount timber from the Department of Natural Resources at the time. And get all you need, all the materials that you need in rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem and rebuilding the barn gates of Jerusalem. And Nehemiah went back to Jerusalem, and he was diagnosed he was evaluating, assessing, analyzing the condition of his beloved country. Secretly, he recruited men and women of character. He recruited men and women who will be with him in rebuilding his beloved country. And he received all kinds of oppositions. Even religious people who were supposed to be God lovers opposed him, insulted him, and even in cahoots with the enemies of God's plan of rebuilding the nation of Israel. But Nehemiah persevered. Nehemiah did not allow himself to be discouraged. He went on recruiting the men and women who can capture the vision of rebuilding their nation and fulfilling the mandate of God to their nation. And he said in Nehemiah chapter 2 verse 20, Nehemiah said, the God of heaven will give us success. But those of you who oppose God's agenda in rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem and the burned down gates, you will never have any memorial. You will never have any historical right in the coming Jerusalem. People of God, Canada is part of God's great plan for the world. The Philippines is part of God's grand plan for the world. The Philippines is the only Christian country in Asia. Used to be number 1 in Asia, but 50 years after had fallen down to the bottom, overtaken by neighboring countries, becoming like a nation of laughing stock nation. And one of the poorest according to many countries of the world to history. Because the Philippines had undergone incredible deterioration due to shocking and unabated political corruption. But there are Filipinos who are scattered, Filipinos who are in the Philippines and Filipinos who are living now in the so-called greener pastures in Europe, in America, in Asia. They are like Nehemiah. They could not just live in their comfort zone and do nothing for the rescue, emancipation, liberation, evangelization, and transformation of the beloved native land, the Philippines, which is a recipient of a glorious prophetic vision that the Philippines will be changed, will be evangelized, will be transformed, and be restored to her lofty position as one of the number 1, if not number 1 countries in Asia, and be a blessed nation of God, and be a model among countries of the world. That the Philippines used to be shattered, laughingstock became or becomes one of the wealthiest countries in the world, as prophesied by Cindy Jacobs, as prophesied by Bill Hammond, by great prophets of God, so that the Philippines will inspire and make an impact to the destiny of many nations of the world before Jesus comes back again. Beloved people of